Talk Live. I'm Kimberly Chapman, publisher.
And Terry Hayes, editor-in-chief of Sheen magazine.
And we're here today at Benedict University with none other than the very beautiful Dr. Roslyn Artis. How are you doing today?
Very well. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, wow. Well, we've enjoyed being with Benedict this year.
I'm grateful
As
that
we
you
were
came.
down here for a couple of things.
Yes, you know, we just got off our HBCU tour. Matter of fact, we're almost about to wrap it up. We have one more weekend to go and another institution. We love
A
our
lesser institution for sure.
But we love our historically black colleges and universities. And we were here at Benedict as a part of the HBCU tour. Ms. Chapman spoke and this was a student university party scholarship.
Thank you.
That is what we're committed to. Chapman Foundation is committed to giving back. So we love Benedict College.
So you served twice.
Yes, I had the fortune of serving as the first female president.
That's an achievement.
Lucky break, maybe, but I'm honored just the same.
Was this a dream of yours?
It was initially, and I was unaware because I knew of the long and distinct history of Benedict as it relates to having been founded by a woman. And so it wasn't until I got into the interview process that I recognized there had not been a female president. So lightning struck twice.
Right. Wow. How do you balance it all in a male-driven world? I was just talking to Ms. Chapman briefly before you walked into the door that for the most part, in most historically black colleges and universities, there's been a male president. But within the last, I would say, 8 years to 10 years,
Yeah.
there's been just a resurgence of like women stepping into the role. So how does it feel to be a woman in the role of president that has mainly been the seat of a man?
Right. So it's an honor, first and foremost, to have the opportunity to kind of lead the way. A little sad that it's taken this long to have it be more commonplace that women are serving in these positions. You asked the question about balance. That's a word I try not to use because I don't think anything can ever be perfectly in balance. The reality is you're making sacrifices, you're making choices.
Right.
So if I'm here today, then I'm not with my children, or I'm not doing something with my husband, or whatever the case may be. So I think as women, we make intentional choices about what matters most to us and where we are at any given point in time. So I opt for quality over quantity in terms of time.
Right.
As it relates to the college, I think women have a wonderful advantage. And what I mean by that really is that our HBCUs are known for being loving, holistic environments for our young people where they can truly be themselves and be appreciated for who they are. I get to love on my babies. I get to hug them. I get to tell them they're beautiful.
Right.
I think if a male president started hugging girls and telling her how beautiful she was, he might have a problem. So I get to love on them a little bit and be a little more maternalistic than maybe my male counterparts do. So I count it an advantage.
I love that. I love that.
Did you graduate from an HBCU?
I did. I went to West Virginia State, then college, now university in West Virginia.
Oh, wow.
Great experience for me.
So what do you feel that an HBCU is or does for your students?
So really self-esteem. I've shared with many members of the campus family a recent study that was published by the American Council on Education that demonstrated and documented that students who come to an HBCU, even if they don't graduate here, so even if they transfer someplace else, they are still graduating at twice the rate of black kids who never touch the hallowed ground of an HBCU. There's a magic dust here that helps these kids build resilience and strength and confidence that allows them to be successful wherever they go. I mean, they go on to grad school and really set the record. They set the bar.
Right. Because there's nothing like an HBCU experience.
Nothing.
Everybody try to imitate it, but you can't duplicate it.
That's right. That is right.
There's nothing like an HBCU experience. So,
right.
Dr. Artis, being here at Benedict College, what do you feel most important to you to bring to this university, not only for the students, but faculty and staff as well?
Technology is a big deal. So many of our HBCUs have fallen a little behind as it relates to technology implementation, and that's really a resource issue. They haven't had the money to invest. Technology is incredibly expensive. And so without the financial support from multiple sources, it's been difficult to keep pace in a technology-driven environment, and yet our students deserve it. They need the exposure and the access to technology if they're to develop and go into a workforce that really demands that they have those skills. So the sort of centerpiece, at least for my first year or so here, really will be technology implementation and enhancement. We're coming into the 21st and preparing for the 22nd century.
I like it, the 22nd century.
That's right. Plan for the future. Plan for the
Absolutely.
future.
And you're a family woman. You're not just here alone. You know, most college presidents, you look for the first lady, but can I say first gentleman?
First gentleman.
Is he okay with that? I don't want him to look at the thing and be like,
after
oh,
Sarah
no.
Palin, people started saying first dude, and we corrected that really quickly. We'll take first gentleman for 5. Thank you, Alex. Right? I think that's probably the best way to articulate it. It's really an interesting experience. I think, so the campus gets ready for a female president. And I'm not sure anybody has a rule book or a manual on what the first gentleman does. So we know first ladies have teas and they have mentoring programs, the first ladies, and all those sorts of things that we've seen in our institution.
So what would the first gentleman do?
Listen, smokers? I don't know. I'm just joking. It's been interesting because there is not a real role. So when my husband is with me, he's always acknowledged, we have our first gentleman, and this is the extent of the role, right? But there's no expectation that he do programming, that he be on the campus. But I think the assumption is that he's working. And for many of our male presidents in this country, their wives work. Right? They are career-oriented, and yet they have the expectation that they host teas and pick out drapes and do all those sorts of things, and yet my husband's getting a pass. So I'm going to probably give him some work to do here pretty soon to help me move this forward.
Oh, nice. I like that.
What kind of programs or events will you do for the young ladies to teach them how to be young ladies?
So that is a really good question. I was having some conversations over the weekend. We often judge our young ladies harshly. We look at them and we say, oh, why is she wearing that? Why is she doing that? That's learned behavior. As a society and a culture, we have allowed our young ladies to carry themselves in a certain way and, in fact, encouraged it when they're little, right? What's cute when they're little becomes a problem when they're big. And so I think we really have to go back to the basics and help them with self-esteem development, understanding that the way they present themselves sends a message to the world. And so it's not critical, it's loving. Right? It's a loving correction of certain behaviors that, quite frankly, depending on where they come from, most of our students are low-wealth first-gen kids. Who taught them? Right? Who taught them better? Who taught them to do things differently? Often they have not had fundamental family support, an insular family support system. A mom that said, you're going to iron that before you go out, or you're going to cover all of that up before you go. I mean, they have not had that, and so that's our job. We get to do that. We get to do that gentle, loving correction here so that when they go out into the world, they're ready.
And what about the men?
That goes without saying. And I will tell you, I have not seen, either at Florida Memorial or here, our young men tend to be a little easier to manage. I don't know if it's because I could be their mother. And so they say, yes, ma'am, and they hold the door, and they, those kinds of things. And yet the same respect and courtesy they will afford me, I'm not seeing that directed toward the young ladies on campus. And so again, I'm going to be a little less gentle about that with our young men. They can take it. I need them to straighten up and act right. Because the world is a harsh place for students of color who do not have strong communication skills, who do not present themselves professionally. The world will judge them harshly. So we have an obligation to correct those behaviors now so they're ready.
And your presidency here at Benedict, what do you expect from your administration?
I expect a high level of student engagement, good customer service. I think often we give ourselves a pass. You know how we do. Nope, I don't. We do things decent and in order. That's what we do. And so we want to ensure that students aren't standing in line all day, that when students come into an office for support that they get good customer service, that we do not treat them as though they are an interruption to our day, but rather the purpose for our day. So I expect a high level of student engagement and investment in their well-being.
I love it. I love it. As we get ready to wrap, I just have to ask you one more question.
Sure.
For our viewers that are watching us, we're the Ultimate Beauty Guide, Sheen magazine. What would you say to a young lady that someday want to be a president of a university? What would you tell her that now that it's possible?
Absolutely possible. Academic preparation is critically important, and nothing replaces preparation. right? You can be smart and all those other things, but unless you can demonstrate that, if you don't have the street cred, right, those letters behind your name and those qualifications, it's going to be a tough row to hoe. You don't want to be in the position without those things because you're going to be questioned as a woman anyway. So you want to have those things. And two, more specifically, know your numbers. Finance is something that's typically attributed to males, and that's simply not the case. And so I would urge young ladies who have an interest in academic administration not to just focus on the academics, but on the business of higher education. This is a business. It has to cash flow. We have obligations we have to meet. We have a bottom line we have to protect and preserve. And so dive in, get to know the numbers, and be financially sound so that you can lead a large business.
Love it.
Absolutely wonderful.
Right.
Thank you. It's
You
been
said it all right there. Know your business.
handle your business.
Is there anything else you'd like people to know?
Nothing other than that Benedict College is the most phenomenal HBCU in the country. I firmly believe and am committed and trust that everybody who works with me understands that Benedict College put the BC in HBCU. So.
All right.
All right.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thank you.
Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. Please pick your copy of Sheen magazine up today at Walmart, Books A Million, Target, Barnes & Noble, and, of course, online at sheenmagazine.com. We would like to say thank you to 108 Praise, Courtney Clark, hello. Also, my MBN, CBN Channel 4.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.